I'm trying something new for this video, no 2-minute intro. I'm experimenting and just trying to get the best viewer experience possible. So be sure to comment and tell me if you prefer it this way or the normal intros explaining the premise. Anyways, meet Elmer.
Oh my god.
The perfect old, blind, and infirm character for such a masochistic run. Elmer was cursed the moment he was brought into this world. With a nasty case of Benjamin Button's disease, he's actually only 6 months old. Thrown in jail for the crime of being hard to look at, the Divines have given him an opportunity to do something special with his life before it ends in another 6 months. As soon as I load into my jail cell, I begin to console command every single skill and stat to be permanently set to 1. To help with this, I also downloaded a mod that raises skill XP so incredibly high that no matter how many times we run, jump, or attack, the skills will still remain at 1. I tried setting health, magic, and stamina to 1, but for some reason it always seems to have a small bonus. As the cherry on top, I'm also playing on master difficulty, meaning every single enemy will have a massive bonus to damage and health, and my damage will be severely debuffed. Now that I'm free from my cell, my first challenge is to simply survive the tutorial. I can't run, attacking is pointless, and every single hit I take just instantly drops me. My only hope is to use the Red Guard's racial ability, Adrenaline Rush, arguably the best ability for a run like this. For 60 seconds, it gives me an additional 50 agility, endurance, speed, strength, and an extra 25 health. This still isn't enough to tank a single attack, but it is enough to let me sprint for a few seconds. Death after death after death, I finally make it out of the Goblin Cave. For my birth sign, I went with the Shadow, the ability to once a day just go invisible. Now, I don't want to give the impression that I'll just be running away from everything all the time. I eventually find a way to deal damage. In fact, later in the video, I managed to just trivialize almost every single encounter. And no, it's not using 100% Chameleon, but we'll get there. Now that I'm out of the sewers, it's time to solve this carry weight issue. 5 pounds is not nearly enough. I need to be able to actually carry things, like, let's say, a weapon. There are a handful of 0 weight items in the game, like the wrist irons we start with, but obviously they don't do anything to protect me from damage. After duping a ton of potions and selling them, I had enough money to buy some spells in the 0 weight mage's hood. My plan is to enchant this gear with feather so I can start holding weapons and armor. I joined the mage's guild so I can take their things without them carrying, and tried to lockpick this case for some soul gems. Do you have any idea how difficult it is trying to lockpick a very hard lock with only 1 security? I duped enough lockpicks to just try spamming it, but even with 400, I just wasn't able to crack it. Giving up really isn't an option, so I just locked in, and for the first time since I started playing this game years and years ago, the strategy of this mini game finally clicked. And once that happened, I realized it's really not as hard as people say. On every single pin, eventually it will slowly make its way to the top and stay there long enough to lock it in place. So just wait for it to go up slowly each time, and bam, free soul gems. I also grabbed the ones from the Arcane University since they are a guaranteed filled Grand Soul. Next, I joined the Fighters Guild in Anvil, picked another case, and obtained the drippiest of 0 weight items, the plaid shirt. Plaid shirt lovers, rise up. I simply don't have the patience to do the entire Mages Guild questline, so after buying Frostcrag Spire and a few upgrades, it's time to start enchanting some gear. This is where I hit a wall. I can't enchant gear with a spell until I can cast it. And since there are no novice level feather spells, I need an alteration of 25 to even cast Ease Burden. This means I first need to enchant some gear with Fortify skill, which is easy enough with the Steed Stone. On the way, I died to a wolf, and on the second try, a helpful Imperial soldier saved me like an absolute Chad. This is where I realized that even if you fortify skills high enough to get the next perk, it still doesn't grant it to you. There are a few exceptions for skills like acrobatics, but essentially this was just a giant waste of time. I ended up just tracking down an Oblivion gate, dying too many times to even count, and refreshing the sigil stone until I got one that had feather on it. Nope. I just want to be able to carry things. If I can't carry anything, I'll never be able to beat this. Oh, fuck. Please don't let that be the one. Please tell me that wasn't feather. That's it. We're out. Please. Get me out of here. Please. Go. 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 Get me out.
Oh God.
For some godforsaken reason, having low stats and skills seems to scale down the feather effect when enchanted on gear.
Okay. What?
All of that for just 2 pounds of carry weight. Thankfully, it finally occurred to me that enchanting Fortify Strength would give me a pretty decent boost to carry weight as well. Finally, I can hold like 1 or 2 weapons. Now, I need to find a method for actually killing things. And you already know I'm going with old reliable. The many magical wooden sticks of Oblivion are easily the best source of reliable and consistent unleveled damage. Good ol' Apotheosis. Hands down the strongest staff in the game, it should allow me to destroy my enemies regardless of how low my skills are. With this, I can further the storyline and begin saving Wobbaj.
Okay, I'm gonna go in. Oh, dude, it looks so good. I've beaten this game so many times now, even just the remaster, and I love it so much.
Even with the weapon as legendary as this one, it's still not enough to one-shot these master difficulty enemies. But hey, at least I can actually kill something. My extremely low health pool doesn't stop me from catching a few more deaths, and with the help of the guard, I somewhat easily make it through the Oblivion Gate. The rest of the siege went pretty well. The Chad Imperial guards also benefit from the difficulty being set so high, making any enemy that stands in their way a cakewalk. Even the courtyard fight went pretty well. However, there were some scamps inside the castle that caused a few problems. When they begin combat, they start by casting some sort of reflect damage spell on themselves. Since we're shooting 99 points of pure magical energy, this normally results in my instant death. However, if you can kill them from a distance before they cast their spells, it's less of a problem. Wobbaj has finally been liberated, but to be honest, that was far easier than I thought it would be. So why don't we up the difficulty even more? The theme of this video is everything being set to 1, right? Well, level 111 is technically just 3 ones put in front of each other. Leveling this high doesn't give me any additional stats, but it does scale every single enemy to match. Meaning, where there were once level 1 scamps, there are now level 111 Storm Atronachs. Yes, now it takes roughly 50 shots from the staff to kill seemingly anything. This is exactly what I was looking for. Clearly, this is no longer an effective way to kill the hundreds of enemies that stand between me and Mehrunes Dagon. So I move on to my next strategy. Elmer has a dream, but in his current state, he's much too weak and frail to accomplish it on his own. Much like a bad heist movie, he starts to put together a team. The Band of the aptly named as their banner has a rooster on it, and Elmer is just too chicken shit to do the fighting himself. There are tons of missions in Oblivion where characters will follow you with the intention of you escorting them to the next objective. But what happens if you just lie? What happens if you promise them you'll take them wherever they need to go, but never do? For some reason, the devs never put in a failsafe for this, so they just stick around forever. Some of these followers are even invincible due to being tagged as essential. The next 12 hours of my life were spent gathering as many of these NPCs as I possibly could. I start with Martin, who's easy enough to obtain now that Wobbaj is saved. I tried getting Mazoga, but she's not essential and her level didn't really seem to change, so she died almost immediately. Next was the Germain twins. Martin was able to kill the ogres, easy enough, but when I promised to take them to Weatherly, I just didn't. They constantly remind you through the rest of the game, and it's actually kind of hilarious.
You have but to lead us to Weatherly.
While trying to get Maglier from the Fighters Guild quest, we lost Mazoga. Rest in peace. It wasn't really her fault though, because this goblin cave is insanely difficult. I think it took like near an hour for the NPCs to clear the entire thing. I really shouldn't be complaining though, because if I tried to do it solo, it'd likely take me twice as long. Doing the remaining quests was pretty cumbersome, but Maglier is an essential NPC and not a bad fighter, so very much worth it. Next up was Urthor from the Mages Guild. He's a powerful caster, but also a bit of a coward. Every now and then he'll try to run off when his health gets low, but we can easily solve that by just hitting him with a Scroll of Inspire. Returning to Frostcrag Spire, if you have enough salts, you can get your choice of Atronach from the Atronach Forge. They aren't essential, but every pair of hands helps, and if they die, they can just be respawned easily. The evil guard captain of Cheydinhal, Ulrich von Liechtenstein, can also join you, but he as well is not essential. Battlehorn Castle has a few recruits you can bring with you, and while not essential, there are a lot of them and they are free. I also duped a Summon Clanfear scroll. The Clanfears have reflect damage and last for quite a while, so pretty good summon. I then proceeded to play almost the entire Knights of the Nine quest line. Doing the quest for the gloves ended up giving me this ridiculous stamina drain debuff, making the run much harder since now I ragdoll after running for longer than 1 second. Why do all of this, you may be asking? Well, I was under the impression that Sir Lathon was an essential NPC, and you don't obtain him until much later in the DLC's questline. He does carry a Daedric weapon, which is nice, but I'm not sure this was worth the amount of time it took to get him on my side. Now that the band of the has been assembled, they need to be properly armed. Most of them have already broken all of their weapons and armor from the countless fights we've been in. Using the same reverse pickpocket method from my Adoring Fan video, I was able to enchant some bound daggers and hand them out to some of the followers. My game is seriously running like garbage with all these NPCs trailing behind me, so let's see if all that work was worth it.
Okay, so I hit him with the Staff of the Mundane. Should lower some of his magic resistance. We'll see how long it's going to take to kill him. That's pretty good. Hey, that's pretty good. Whoa. Okay.
For level 111 on Master difficulty, that's actually really good. Let's get back to the main story. I knew this day would come, but we eventually had to drop off Martin and begin hunting down the Mythic Dawn books. The sewers under the Imperial City are swarming with goblin shamans, but against the might of the they just don't stand a chance. Every time I play this game, I learn something new. In this playthrough, I learned that Boris can actually die during this fight. Sorry, bud.
Someone's been murdered!
Yeah, you guys killed him. Boris died. They said someone's been murdered.
I eventually found myself at the Mythic Dawn cave, and since my friends can't follow me past the entrance, I chose espionage. I tried punching just to hear my character's voice, and when I fell, I landed in the fire, almost killing myself. Elmer really is remarkably useless. After snatching the Mysterium Xarxes, I made a dash for the exit, dying probably 4 or 5 times before making it back to the coast. The band and I continued through the story, killing spies and even turning in a Daedric artifact to Martin. But standing in the back and watching people fight for me is getting a little old, and they won't be around forever. I need to be able to fend for myself. This brings me to my final strategy. The only other reliable source of unleveled spells are scrolls. Anything that deals damage is pointless, since my staff can fire faster and outdamage any of the existing scrolls in the game. But utility spells like Paralyze or this Spectral Form scroll will really help out when I inevitably make it to Paradise by myself. I also took a little bit of time to go and grab the Wobbaj. I absolutely love this mission, and it'll speed up killing ghosts later when we get to Tiber Septim's tomb. As of recording, it still doesn't work on humans, but ghosts and goblins are a different story entirely. The next main quest has me clearing the Oblivion Gate next to Bruma, accompanied by Captain Bird. After the worst speech in gaming history, our army dives through the gate.
All right, boys, listen up. We've got to close that gate over there. Nobody likes the idea of going into that thing, but it's our job, and we're going to do it. Yeah!
The Javalis are constantly summoning Clanfears, and for some reason, they are gunning straight for me. I died more than I care to admit, but eventually made it through just by standing back and using Spectral Form. This is where the game started to have some pretty glaring performance issues. You're just not meant to have this many people following you. With the Wobbaj and some dumb luck, we did make it through to the end. Next up is obtaining Tiber Septim's armor, and nothing could have prepared me for how jank things were about to get. We move through the area, easily killing the ghosts. If they happen to turn into a sheep or a deer, they just get one shot by apotheosis. I just have to keep my magic sticks filled with dead people's souls, and we'll be out of here in no time. After killing one of the cursed blades, I noticed the corpse of a ghost just laying on the ground. I didn't think anything of it, and continued the mission. By the time I reached the end, I noticed that one of the 4 blades are missing. That's because he's fucking dead. One of my followers must have killed him back in that first tomb. The ghosts aren't supposed to be taking damage, but the wiki explains that a bug makes them susceptible. I can only assume having so many followers with me is what caused this. The quest is quite literally locked. They don't remove the barrier and I'm stuck on the other side, unable to obtain the armor. I even spawned the dead ghost using console commands, but he just went to a spot and nothing else changed.
Okay, so I saw in a Juggy video where he used like a fireball or something to knock the armor, the force of it, knock the armor towards the force field, and then you just pick it up. So I'm gonna try that. Okay.
Finally, I ended up using no clip to just grab the armor. The bugs mixed with the performance issues are making this really hard to put up with. Let's just wrap the game up and move on. I had intended to gather as many people as possible to fight outside of Bruma, but once I realized I would need to close an Oblivion gate for each city, I quickly abandoned the notion entirely. Let's just grab the Welkin Stone instead. On the way there, I died for the trillionth time, but this time when I respawned, it made me absolutely gargantuan. For the remainder of the video, when I enter first person view, I will be twice as tall as anything else in the game. I think I could have used this to do a speedrun glitch to auto trigger the ending sequence of the game, and I would have just done that had I known the problems I was about to encounter. The last ingredient for Paradise is a great sigil stone. With so many people standing outside of Bruma, the game has officially lost all functionality. Look at that. Does that look normal? Half the soldiers didn't even join the fight, they just stood there and watched while my men were cut to pieces. This meant I needed to get through the Great Gate as fast as my frail little chicken legs could manage. Using invisibility and adrenaline rush, I was able to circumvent nearly every enemy on my way to the top. The Great Sigil Stone is in my possession, but the Band of the Cox has suffered heavy losses. Everyone who isn't essential is dead. Ulrich von Liechtenstein, Sir Lathon, my Atronach, and the poor Battlehorn soldier. All of them gave their lives for this cause. Let's make sure it wasn't in vain. Paradise awaits. Once through the portal, I caught a couple deaths fighting the guard to the grotto. Paralyzed did some heavy work though, and eventually I've got the spicy bands. Navigating the grotto was pretty easy when you can go invisible for 2 straight minutes, but the mini-boss at the end wasn't about to just let me saunter out of here. He does so much damage that even though the clan fears are dying in one hit, they're still able to reflect a portion of it back at him. I died a lot, but eventually my little dino buddies carried me to victory. The last hurdle of the run is Mancar Cameron. This man has reflect damage, reflect spell, and spell absorption. He's also accompanied by his 2 children who could outrun me in a foot race even if their legs were chopped off. Their ability to close the distance and kill me in just 1 hit is absolutely uncanny. At first I thought I'd try the old fall damage trick. You just go invisible and push him off this ledge until his health drops to 0. But because I'm such an absolute moron, his health pull now matches my level, meaning this would require me to push him off 15 times before he's dead. Just as I got close, he fucking healed himself. Did anyone know he could heal himself? Because I sure didn't. This recording is 2 hours of me trying everything I possibly could to kill him. The clan fears can't damage him fast enough to stop him from healing. My only silent scroll doesn't work since he just absorbs the spell. Even using the Skull of Corruption didn't work. A copy of himself with the clan fear was still unable to kill him. If I had just stayed at level 1, the fall damage trick would be more than enough to finish him, but my hubris is ultimately what killed the run. So, can you beat Oblivion with everything set to 1? Probably, but I, however, cannot. Right as I was about to turn the game off, when I was at my absolute lowest in a pit of despair, my Bailet awakened. But instead of sacrificing my friends, it teleported them to me. Thank you, God Hand. You truly are benevolent and kind. The surviving members of the Band of the Cox were able to easily destroy Mancar Cameron and his stupid-ass children. With the Amulet of Kings in my possession, Martin's coronation commences, where he serves the shortest term of any emperor. And that's it. Did I absolutely fail? Yes, and I am okay with that. But as long as you had fun watching, I've accomplished my true objective. You know, maybe the real challenge run was the friends we made along the way. Thank you so much for making it this far in the video. I have a quick announcement I would like to make for the future of the content on this channel. I've had a lot of fun with Oblivion, don't get me wrong, but I think the content well for this game dried up pretty quick. So I'm instead planning a challenge run marathon of the entire Soulsborne series, meaning starting with Demon Souls, I'm doing a challenge run for each game in the series leading up to Elden Ring. These games really mean a lot to me. I've been playing them just as long as I have the Elder Scrolls games, and they've largely contributed a lot to my teenage years. Hopefully you're just as excited as I am, because I am really stoked for this. Huge shout out to the members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Members get a shout out in each video and a members badge. If you're interested in becoming a member, check the description for more details. I'll see you all in the next one. Later.